every audit report has an assurance side to it, and some auditors are not really great at that part. Okay, we'll need to talk about that. And there's also a consulting part to it. So when I talk about the assurance side of it, that will be the audit opinion. So the audit opinion is where we give assurance. Which part of the audit report do we give consulting? That's every time we bring out a recommendation. That is consulting. Isn't that right? Okay, you can have a formal consulting report also where you are not asked for an opinion. That happens, right? But every audit report where you bring out recommendations, consider those recommendations to be consulting. Now, when you look at your planning, let's say you're going to audit a specific place and it's because of its riskiness, you're going to spend 600 hours there. How much of that 600 hours do you need to spend on assurance, and how much do you need to spend on consulting? And the answer is not that straightforward. The answer is it depends. It depends on what? It depends on how strong or how weak you think the systems are going to be. And that's why you've got those two dimensions. I'm going to show you on the graph how it looks like. But you've got to consider this, and this is why we do preliminary surveys. We do preliminary surveys so that we can find out what should we expect. Should we expect that the systems are weak, or should we expect the systems are strong? So let me put it on the board. I think the way that it looks is something like this. If the systems are really weak, we don't have to spend a lot of time on assurance. It sounds strange, right? Okay? Let me explain it to you like this. You go to management, you say, we are here to come and audit your risk management system. They tell you, we don't have a risk management system. Okay? What else is there for you to do? It takes you 1 minute and you can write the opinion, right? Your opinion is that we don't have a risk management system. Okay? And you can give assurance on that. That's your opinion. And it's based on a fairly quick review. Okay? So if you want to say something is really bad, it doesn't take a long time. Okay? You take 5 samples, all of them are wrong. You can write the report, right? You don't have to take another 100 samples, all of them being wrong, right? So when the systems are really weak, it doesn't take a long time for you to reach your opinion. When the systems, however, are strong, now it's a little bit more difficult, because if you want to say that the systems are really good, now you've got audit risk, right? You've got audit risk because if you say it's really strong, but it's not, you're going to lose all credibility. So you've got to make sure that you do a lot of work, and now you can do a lot of work because there's a strong system. And that strong system needs to be analyzed, and it needs to be benchmarked, and it needs to be tested. And there's a lot of stuff you can do, right? Okay. If the systems are weak, how much consulting do they need? A lot, right? There's going to be a lot of findings with a lot of recommendations when the systems are weak. Does that make sense? Okay? So if the systems are weak, there's a lot of findings. Now here's the test, and this is a difficult test. And whenever I do a quality assurance review, I look at this. If people say for 5 years in a row, the system is weak, next year they say the system is weak, and the year after that they say the system is weak, what does it tell me about internal audit? It tells me their consulting is no good. Because if the consulting was good, they would have made the systems to look better the next time around. Isn't that the whole point of doing consulting? Okay? If your recommendations didn't make any difference for 5 years in a row, there's a problem there. The whole point of bringing out recommendations is to strengthen the weak systems. So this is your test. Will you be happy to say, if you implement everything that we require you to do here on our recommendations, next year we'll give you a clean report? Do you have that kind of trust in your own recommendations? And I find many internal auditors don't. Okay. Now the next question is, giving assurance on what? And giving and consulting on what? Okay. Now we've got to be very specific on this. And I remember when people were saying, we've got to do consulting now. What is the scope? The scope is exactly the same as for assurance. Governance, risks, and control.